isn't it? Well, it looks like I got to work on my lighting, among other things. Well, guys, I'm still learning how to do this, so if you're trying to join me, split screen, and I need to do something, you better email me and let me know. Or, oh, I have a control room. Ugly, huh? Well, this is Through Gamer Goggles News Live, or Through Gamer Goggles Live, and I'm still learning and tweaking things. Tonight we have a whole bunch of stories for you. Hey, there we go. Good. Everything's up and running. I've got good stream. And we're just going to jump right in now into the news. We're going to go through a whole bunch of different stories. First story I have actually involves Warhammer 40K. Shock. They're always in the news, right? And this story is actually about not so much the games themselves, but they're coming out with a movie for 40K, and it's going to be available on the Xbox One and PS4. This particular story is from Movie Pilot, and it goes over and talks about the different things of the game, different versions of 40K, everything ranging from Space Hulk to Epic. You know, basically they could cover everything in about a paragraph, but they talk a lot about the video game a lot more in depth, and then they go into some of the screenshots. So if you guys want to head over to moviepilot.com and check out, oh man, those Space Marines, they look pretty good. Wow, I haven't actually read the article yet. Sorry, I'm skimming through it right now as we speak. I finished playing Dungeons and Dragons about 20 minutes ago, so I'm a little bit on that high yet. But the movie looks like it's going to be pretty good. The only thing that I have a drawback with, or I'm prone to being against, is that it's only going to be available to those of you that use Xbox One and the PS4. So, I mean, I'm sure eventually Netflix will pick it up, or Hulu might pick it up. Our next story, which is not cooperating with me, there we go, is actually, it's a Kickstarter. We talk about Kickstarter from time to time on our shows, and I've done some previews. This particular Kickstarter is one that is of interest because if you can see back there, all the different pawns for Pathfinder, these particular guys are actually doing a Kickstarter for plastic pawns, and these are basically pieces of clear plastic with images etched on them that are full color. So you get plastic, basically you're getting plastic pawns. They call them miniatures, but I'm not going to do that. And I watched their video. They actually have a whole bunch of pawns that are really good, and if they keep hitting if they get to their goals, like this morning, I believe they were already funded, and that they have like 50 days left or something ridiculous like that. They did it for a longer period of time than most do. but they've got a lot of pawns, and they've got a lot of pretty good art with it. And their stretch goals go all the way out. Well, I don't know how far out they go because they're stretch goals. They can keep going, but they've got all kinds of different packs and things. They've got for Pathfinder, they've got things designed. They've got things for Gothic horror games designed and in the works. So it looks like it's going to be a really good set. It's not necessarily wild and crazy news, but there's some other stories tonight that are really good. Dungeons and Dragons is, of course, still in the news for many reasons. One of those reasons is an article that IGN did is titled 5 Awesome Gifts Dungeons and Dragons Gave Games. And it's really kind of an interesting take on it. They go through this list of, well, the 5 things. And it starts off with, one that's, I don't know, they're a little, I guess, satirical with it. They kind of beat around the bush. RPGs is the title of the first one. Pretty much all of them. And it goes through this long section about how the D&D mechanics come into play. There's Plato systems and other things in some of the other games. And they've got these old school computer games. So they're kind of gearing this towards the computer games of where you've got this line and this door drawn where they got this little thing here where that's your doorway. My arms are maybe your hallway, straight line. They got this little stick figure with a shield and a sword, and he's marching down this little hallway. So they're really taking it all the way back to the days of Apple, the original Apples. And they spend a good bit of time talking about that, but then they move into player choice stories, which is the first thing that Dungeons and Dragons kind of really did. I mean, they didn't really do it like they were trying to do it, but anytime you're going to take an acting thing and provide a loose story like Dungeons and Dragons did, players get to interact more with each other, evolve, and they get to grow as a party and make choices that help define the story. And again, IGN is talking about Dungeons and Dragons, the paper RPG, giving computer gaming gifts. The third gift is console adventure gaming, and D&D did inspire a whole series of Dungeons and Dragons games, even before there was a game called Pool of Radiance. There was an Intellivision game for the Dungeons and Dragons universe that, gosh, who made it? I want to say that the game was made by Sony, but don't quote me on that. But I mean, it was an old school, Dungeons and Dragons thing. It was Minecraft. You went into a dungeon that was all pixels, and you kind of walked around and you stood there and you fired this little arrow that looked like an arrow you would have drawn in kindergarten, because that's what you did back then as a gamer. And their fourth step, they talk about how the game of Dungeons & Dragons gave us Quake. I'm not so sure that Dungeons & Dragons actually gave us Quake. Quake may have found its way into the world without Dungeons & Dragons. But they're attributing it to D&D, so I'll let them have it. And the last thing that Dungeons & Dragons gave the computer world is MMOs. Without MMOs, where would gaming be today? Hard to say, but again, I'm not so sure that you can say Dungeons and Dragons gave us MMOs, but I would be willing to bet we got them a lot faster because of Dungeons and Dragons. Our next story comes to us from News 10. This is an ABC channel, and it crashed on my other computer, so I'm going to reload it, and you're going to hear a video. This is actually the news scene. If you go to News 10 and do a search for Austin Young Gaming for a Cause, this story is one of the better stories that we've had in a long time for gamers. Sometimes you've got some things that are sad and some things that you've gotten on. This particular gamer is struggling with cancer, and they started video. Well, I better stop that. No, I'll have that in the background. He started playing video games to raise money to battle different diseases, and the guy's been doing it for 3 years successfully. So kudos, more power to you. The gentleman's name is, hey, it should be like the first thing they mention. Well, maybe because it's a video and it's an actual cut from their channel, they name him in the video that I watched this morning. So I'm not gonna. Yeah, his name isn't available on the website, but again, if you go to News 10, ABC, and do a search for Austin Young Gaming for a Cause. Now, this next story I really wanted to read, and I didn't read it yet, so I'm just going to point it out to you, and we're going to move on to some other stories. The title is Rocky Mountain Gamer. It's all fun in video games until someone gets hurt. The title alone drew me into this, and from the title, you're thinking that somebody got hurt, and from reading the first paragraph of the story this morning, I did not think that that's what this ends up being about. You can find this at Daily Camera Entertainment. It is a good-sized article, and I'm going to leave that one open. Maybe I'll come back and I'll skim it and read some of it. If I had a co-host, I'd have them read it and talk to me about it. Another good Dungeons and Dragons story. The Dungeons and Dragons team is conducting Extra Life fundraising on October 25th through the 26th, which they are, let's see here. I thought I just saw, I did, cool. This story is at theexaminer.com, and Wizards of the Coast announced last week sometime, that's when the story popped into my inbox, that for the second year in a row, members of Dungeons & Dragons design team will launch an Extra Life fundraising gaming marathon on October 25th through 26th. And basically what it is it's for the Children's Miracle Network of hospitals. Let's see here. Let's see. Well, starting at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, senior producer Greg Grisland, they'll start dungeon mastering for 24 hours, running a rotating group. Mega Dungeon Adventure for Horde of the Dragon Queen. Not a surprise there. Some other members that are going to partake in this will be Rodney Thompson, Chris Dupuy, I think that's Dupuy. Emmy Tangi, James Wyatt, Gavin Very, Keith Baker. For those of you that might not be aware, that's the creator of the Eberron setting. Aaron M. Evans, author of the Fire and Blood novel that will be releasing soon. Jeremy Petter and Mike Selinker, who is the president of Lone Shark Games. A great guy, by the way. I got to interview him at Origins. He's a great guy to deal with, work with, chat with. You can watch the D&D stream. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. You're going to be able to watch the D&D stream live on D&D Twitch TV channel, October 25th. Last year they raised $21,000. This year they want to do $25,000. I think this is a great cause. Spread the word, people. And the last story is kind of cool. Ian Livingston, according to PC Games, is Games Workshop's co-founder. Well, I mean, not that part's not according to them. The story is from PC Games, and Ian Livingston, who is the co-founder of Games Workshop and president of Eidos, or Eidos, however you say it, wants to open a free gaming school. And basically, the school is going to be in the UK. And the principal of the school is going to be to, oh gosh, again, you guys are there. How do I get you to join? Teach people using games how to think critically. I think it's a great idea. Is he ahead of his time? I don't know. Sorry, I'm a little distracted trying to get people to join me so they can actually chat back and forth. You guys have a button for that? Let's see, wait. Hey, I opened up chat. If you guys can chat, see if it works. Oops. That was supposed to be high. There was an error loading the app. I tried loading question and answer, and it didn't work. I can take a picture. I don't want to take a picture. I'm ugly. Well, anyway, those are most of the stories, but I had a great time in D&D tonight. My character is a paladin rogue, and well, for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to talk about gaming in general. Actually, I'm going to talk about something Ryan Hale and I are going to start doing. We're getting ready to start doing some privileged content on Through Gamer Goggles, and that content is going to be for subscribers, and that content is going to be exclusive content. Probably, I don't know, we're probably going to set a time limit. It's all going to depend upon what we do with it, how much time we dump into it together as a team. But Ryan and I are starting a game world, and we haven't really done much other than come up with the campaign setting so far and part of the worldview. So we don't know exactly if we're going to go Pathfinder everything, or if we're going to go Dungeons and Dragons type of game world, or just D20 or Savage Worlds, or we're not making a system. We're just making a setting, and that's going to be something that he and I have talked about a little bit, that we're going to probably kind of throw out there as a bonbon for people to come back to us more. We're also going to, I'm actually teach Ryan how to paint, which should be interesting because it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, not only for me, but more for him. For those of you that don't know too much about Ryan, he has Parkinson's, so he doesn't have great hand control when it comes to holding and doing things steady. So teaching Ryan to paint is going to be, I believe it's doable. He believes it's doable, and he wants me to teach him. He's been hounding me now for about a year, so that should be good good and interesting. It's gonna, I don't know, it's gonna be different for me because it's a different approach to things. Ryan and I are also gonna start talking a lot more about role-playing games together. I don't know if we're going to do that audio as if it's just a podcast, or if we're going to sit down and try and do that video here on the other side of the table in front of the shelves. But we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of good things coming up. Hoping to start a Patreon, and that's going to lead into some of the things that I just discussed because, well, I'm at a point where I'm already filming about 15, 20 hours a week, and sometimes I get large influxes of things with information and things to deal with, so I end up working 30 and 40 hours a week. I also have a family, so I have a decision to make. I don't really have a job right now, but the job I had was only 12 hours a week, 10 hours a week, so I'm toying with the idea of finding a way to make this full-time. Oh, what I didn't mention is this weekend at Hudson, Ohio is Con on the Cob. Con on the Cob is one of the most fun conventions that I attend in a year. Con on the Cob is unique in the sense that, well, one, it's made by Andy Hopp, who has made, it's not in grabbing distance, so I can't grab it. He has made Dementalism, which is a unique memory version of, a unique version of memory. And he is also an artist, and he also designed a Savage Worlds game system or campaign setting. It's not the whole hole. It's oh my goodness. I'm sorry, Andy. Demental is almost everything he does is in it. I cannot believe that I cannot tell you what it is. He just wrote a book and he called it The Whole Hole. Anyway, that part's not important. Andy puts the con on for his friends and for gamers. It's a Gardy. Basically, you go there, game and party pretty much all weekend long. There's no reason for you not to have fun at this show. Gaming is free. The hotel is inexpensive. Again, it's at Hudson, Ohio. And if you have questions or if you want to try and get there, you probably missed room block since it's this weekend. But there's some good stuff going on. Aloy's going to be there, who's a big RPG name. Con on the Cob, Hudson, Ohio, Clarion Inn, and you can go to cononthecob.com or Mother Earth Creations. And let's see, is it next week? No, 2 weeks from now, the first weekend of November, I believe it is when he will be doing Oddmall again in Akron, Ohio. And if you're from the Ohio area, or heck, he's got people coming in from Chicago now. So Oddmall is really turning out to be something cool and unique. There's going to be Star Wars cosplayers there. I think they're the 501st Legion. They're the clone troopers. They show up in full uniform. They show people how to do things with their uniforms. There's a whole, a big Star Wars fan base that comes to this thing. There's a whole bunch of artists that get together and show off their unique styles and crafts that wouldn't necessarily fit in anywhere else. There's a lady that does artwork with old records. That she does some really cool stuff. There's what else was there? There's a group that makes keychains for like Marvel and DC, the whole Marvel and DC line, and the things that they really do. They're really just pretty phenomenal. They said they've gone to a few different comic book conventions, and Oddmall by far blew what they did at the comic book conventions out of the water. There's just so many. There's a guy who makes latex masks for who comes up to Con on the Cob, and he sits there and he does all his work right in his booth. So you get to watch him make a latex mask, like a Freddy the Krueger mask and things like that. It's just a really cool show. But gosh, I wish I had more news. There's I kind of blew through it this week, probably because I had, oops, that's the wrong one. Probably because I had guests. And, well, there's a UFC coming up this weekend, so, maybe I'll try and watch that as well. Man, I really wish you guys... But, well, I'm at a loss for words now. I was going to talk about me playing Dungeons and Dragons, but that seems kind of pointless and fruitless. We can talk a little bit about 5th Ed. 5th Ed. I have a concern. My concern is that maybe, just maybe, there's not quite enough skills in the base book. Because, they're going to come out with more books. They're going to come out with more classes and more backgrounds. So my question is, will you be able to have enough backgrounds to blend the skills to create the base of characters that players want to see or players are used to? So far that's my only real concern. Somebody brought it up to me that the Monster Manual doesn't have treasure ratings or challenge ratings per se. So that's probably going to be in the Dungeon Master's Guide is what I told them. But that was something that I missed when I did my review, was that there was no way to divvy out the treasure. Interesting. Let's see what else is cool and happening. Oh, Essen. Essen's this week. How can we not talk about Essen? Well, we can talk about Essen because, one, I'm not going and I don't know anything about it, which is a bit of a bummer. I know that a whole bunch of gaming companies are going to Germany this week to play, demo, show off games. Mayfair's there. Larry's been showing pictures of German food on Facebook all week long already, or all weekend long. getting ready to go, or he's already been in Germany. And I'm a little bit jealous because some of the food he has distributed through his Facebook posts is just insanely good looking. I wish I was in Germany. Oh, maybe next year. Maybe next year I'll be able to go to Germany and show off what Essen is like. It's largely a board game. I'm gonna call it. I think it's more of a trade show than a convention. But then again, conventions might be a lot more like trade shows in Europe than they are in the United States. So that's really all I've got tonight. So thanks for watching, guys. I would love to hear from you. Leave me some feedback. Let me know if my camera does funky things, except when I kick the table. This is still a learning process. I kind of wanted to maybe get some back and forth chatter with you guys, but I don't know if I did something wrong or if you didn't just join. So, hey, I'll hang out here for a few more minutes, and if anybody wants to chat, they can hop on. Have a good night. Oh, it says I'm watching me. That's funny. Ryan, join me. What? Okay, I'm still here. Ryan sent me an email. I'm checking it. Ah, he's still sending me an email. Where the hell my? Oops. Aha.